of the UP Unconventional Playbook. I'm your host, Lionel Jones. Like and subscribe. We are almost to 300 subscribers. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone out there that's been supporting this channel. This is a bare bones channel that's growing every day, and it's going to be fun to see where we are a year from now. That's kind of the goal. But in the meantime, we're going to be bringing you just great content, focus mainly on Minnesota sports, but we're going to get into some national stuff, so you don't have to worry about that. We're going to hit on some of the big stories and give you content that really makes you think and maybe look at sports a different way. What we're going to talk about today is the big game tonight. Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets, Game 4. Who's going to win? Anthony Edwards versus the Joker. Timberwolves got to show up tonight. Like the label of the show is it a must-win? I know I'm going to get some pushback in terms of, is it a must-win? Technically, it's not a must-win because you got a few more games to go. It's first 1 to 4. First 1 to 4. You saw Anthony Edwards say that when his players were coming off the court the other night. Guys, it's the first 1 to 4. But do you really want to let the Denver Nuggets back in this basketball game? Do you want to let them back in the series? I wouldn't want to have this game go back to Denver tied against the world champs. I think well earned. You're very fortunate to come out of Denver 2-0. So the worst thing you can do is lose Game 4 and erase all of your work. Come on, Wolves, tonight. You got to be more focused. I am hoping that Game 3 was just an outlier, that they weren't focused. They were reading their news clippings, enjoying all the national media attention. But today is the day to get focused. The day is the day to get back to being gritty and grimy and defending the Denver Nuggets. Watch for the Denver Nuggets tonight to keep Jokic in the high post. They want to try to pull Rudy Gobert away from that basket. Chris Finch, great adjustment, putting Karl Anthony Towns on Jokic when he's in the high post. Because the dangerous thing about Jokic, when you pull him out, he can drive on you, and he's extending that elbow, and the referees are allowing him to get away with that. But he can shoot the three. And man, is he a facilitator. Does he get everybody else involved? I think the benefit of the layoff playing from Monday and then again on Friday is that Jamal Murray got a chance to get healthy. And it's the one thing that I didn't like about that layoff. You saw he had a little bit more spring in his step. He was a little bit more athletic, felt better physically, so he was a little bit more aggressive going to the basket. Got to hold down Jamal Murray. Shaquille O'Neal likes to use the word others. And Shaquille O'Neal has been in the news lately for criticizing the Joker, saying that he really didn't deserve the MVP. He glad that he won it, but he would have gave it to SGA. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but that's what Shaq is getting a lot of heat for. But anyway, Shaq likes to use the term others. And basically what he means by that is role players on the team. Tonight, the Timberwolves role players have to be big. Michael Conley, man, you got to be that coach on the floor. You got to be that floor general, all right? But you just can't be there verbally. And in a leadership role, man, you got to score. You got to be in that 10 to 15-point range. You're going to have opportunities to knock down some big threes, and you got to be a great facilitator, like no less than 8 assists tonight. Get everybody else involved. That's what you were brought here for when we made that trade. Be that man. You've been that man all year long. Be it tonight. Naz Reid, one of the most versatile big men in the game, pick and pop type guy, can play inside out, shoot the three. Your energy is going to be paramount tonight. This is not one of those games where you're going to let things come to you. You got to be there from the jump with your energy. McDaniels, you got to defend and you can't get in foul trouble. Man, when you are off the floor in foul trouble, we are a completely different defensive basketball team. Stay on the floor. Stay on the floor tonight. No fouls. No fouls. That way now we don't have to move people around, put them in different positions to account for you being on the bench in foul trouble. Timberwolves fans, tonight's your night as well. You don't get to sleep. We're not sleeping on the fans tonight. I'm going to hold you accountable as well. That's got to be a college atmosphere in the Target Center tonight. Have you been watching Oklahoma City's crowd? Like, that's the best crowd in the NBA. No disrespect to the Minneapolis crowd or the Minnesota Timberwolves fans, but Oklahoma City, they are off the hook. Minnesota fans, you got to take lessons from them tonight and be that crowd. Be that sixth man. Chris Finch and his crew, you've got to get your guys mentally ready. X's and O's, execution-wise, I have no issue with what you're doing, but you got to prepare your guys. They can't just show up and try to win this game. The Denver Nuggets are not going to lay down. Rudy Gobert, you're the defensive player of the year. Prove it tonight. Prove it. Make it so the Timberwolves don't have to double team. Dig downs on the strong side. Double teaming on the flight of the ball on the weak side. Because that's going to open up opportunities for shooters. And I hope the refereeing is decent tonight. Obviously, they've been told that they didn't call the game physically enough in Game 2 because Game 3, did you watch Game 3? Game 3 was completely different. Anybody that watched that game, you go back and you watch Game 2 and the way the game was refereed, and then you go to Game 3 and the game was just ref completely different. That gave a lot of ammunition to conspiracy theorists out there that say, oh, well, they just didn't want the Denver Nuggets to get swept. I don't know if I believe all the conspiracy theory stuff, but here's what I know. I know the refereeing was different. Anybody that wants to challenge me on that, put it in the comments. Let's chat. Because that game was completely different. Why it was called different, I don't know. But they went from letting them play physical to ticky-tack, touch fouls. And this is the playoffs, man. You got to let them play. I mean, if you're going to call stuff on the defensive end, you sure as heck have to call Jokic putting his elbows in people's sternum on the drive. And anytime he gets the ball in the post, he's hooking them with his elbow. Guy's too big and strong. You've got to allow defenders to be able to defend him. I mean, give me a break. The Minnesota Timberwolves, I think, must be better on the perimeter. They can't let the Denver Nuggets shoot 48% from three. 48% from the three-point line. Man, you let a team shoot 48%, double-digit threes, 26 assists for the game. I mean, you got to do a better job defensively. You've got to look at that and be ashamed of your work because you can do better. You're the number one defensive team in the league. That's the one area of the game you can control is defense. You got to be there tonight. Minnesota Timberwolves. As I said before in a Game 3 preview, no letdowns. And you didn't hear me. You got to hear me today. No letdowns. This game tonight puts a stamp on the rest of the series. If you win tonight, I don't think there's any way the Denver Nuggets can win 3 in a row against you. You might as well book your ticket to the Western Conference Finals. You win tonight. No joking around. So whatever you got to do, Minnesota Timberwolves, get to shoot around early, go through your walkthroughs, extra film sessions. It's got to be real tonight in the Target Center. No letdowns. Don't play soft. Big Cat, show up. Anthony Edwards, show up. 15 shot attempts. Ant, really? Really, Ant? When you're up 2-0? The one thing I give you credit for is you admitted it post-game. That you came out with no energy and you took a lot of that accountability on yourself. That's a leader. That's a leader. But you can't come back in Game 4 and do the same thing. Because we're going to keep it real on the UP. We're going to keep it real on the unconventional playbook platform. I expect nothing less than to be celebrating tonight after a Timberwolves win. There's no excuse. You got to show up. This is the biggest game, one of the biggest games in franchise history. And have you looked at the other side of the bracket? I know we got to concentrate on the Denver Nuggets, but have you looked on the other side? The Dallas Mavericks are up 2-1 against Oklahoma City. Don't let Dallas make the Western Conference Finals. Match up against us, if we're fortunate to make the Western Conference Finals, that's barbecue chicken. They can't guard us. Oklahoma City's a different story. That's athletes everywhere on that team. But if some reason they can't get the job done against the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves get to the Western Conference Finals, oh, man. That's a matchup we want. That's barbecue chicken. That's barbecue chicken. So Minnesota Timberwolves fans, be there tonight. I'm pumped. I hope you're pumped. My boys, the Timberwolves, aren't going to let you down. They're going to be there. Crowd's going to be there. This is an exciting time. Timberwolves get it done tonight. This has been Unconventional Playbook.